Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein inside a New York City jail.
We were underage. We were little girls. By the time I was 16, I brought him up to 75 girls.
He was glib, and he lived essentially like he was Gatsby. He was an absolutely terrifying person to encounter.
You own an island, right?
True. Thank you very much.
Two islands, the islands of Dr. Moreau.
Correct.
Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire New York businessman whose vast wealth brought an arrogance that knew no limits. He acted as if he could have anything he craved.
Reporting the FBI is now looking into how it can interview Britain's Prince Andrew over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
I made my living from old thinking, but the future is for the way women think.
The way women think.
That's correct.
Is that not a sop because of all the depravity you've done against young women, and your new sop is that their women's thinking is the future?
No, I've always believed that women would be able to take over. I'm a firm believer and supporter of Time's Up.
Federal prosecutors said yesterday video of Epstein's jail cell when he made his first suicide attempt no longer exists.
And Jeffrey Edward Epstein?
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
Epstein got away with his crimes because nearly every element of society allowed him to get away with them.
This morning, we're learning new details of the exact cause of death of former registered sex offender and financier Jeffrey Epstein.
The greatest threat that people put in solitary confinement is they try to kill themselves. Imagine that. You're only in a room for 24 hours, you start to go crazy.
Woo! That was a little preview of a video we were supposed to get from Steve Bannon that never got released. So, but that is why, just FYI, why they say Steve Bannon was in the Epstein files. Well, why Elon is saying it, because he did that interview with Epstein, spent 15 hours with him, something like that. So anyways, just so you guys know what's up today. Happy Sunday afternoon. It is the Ace Report. Today, guys, we got to go through the recent what's going on in the whole Epstein debacle with the Trump administration and new stuff coming to light. It's very, very interesting time, to say the least. So we got to parse through this. There is so much more going on than meets the eye. And yeah, it's woo, man, what a time. What a time to be alive. My God, we are going to see things that we just never expected. I have a feeling things are going to play out in ways that nobody's guessed. And I think the truth of this whole situation is going to be much, much different than anybody's best guess when it all turns out. But first, before I get going, folks, let me say hey to some people. Let's start with Rumble today. We just got a couple in the chat, but everybody on Rumble, jump in that chat if you don't mind. Say what's up. What in tarnation? What's going on over there? And Nels, how's it going, friend? So far, so good on Rumble. On YouTube, Wago Waco, numero uno today. Mad Max, what's going on, buddy? Cass Sink, Troy Man, Vince Felice, Scott Volkovich, Shogun, Kim Wiley, Vin Man, Big JR, hey you guys, Rocky Road, Michael Boyle, Dar Daddy, Danny, give it to you straight, you can take it. South Bomba Gump, what's going on? Nick Majors, thank you for the kind compliment. He says the best perspective about current events is from Ace. Thank you so much, man. That means a lot. It means my work matters. Dar Daddy, what's up, buddy? He says Mar-a-Lago raid a failure. Trump has the worldwide receipts. Trust Trump's a winner. He's going to get his force what they done to him and country. I agree. Hero at large, what's up? Tolbert, Taco and that was low. Eric B, present. Rondell, what's up, man? All right, good to see you guys. Low audience today, but that's okay. People do stuff on Sundays. I get it. I totally get it and understand. That's all right. Before we get started, please hit that like. Just take 1 second, slam that like, And, hit the subscribe if you're new. I appreciate it. I'm getting a little blurry, stupid Rumble. I'm trying to multicast. Rumble gave me a good stream the other day. I thought I'd come back, but it looks like it's struggling today. And actually, I got to try some. Hold on. There's some I forgot to do, guys, in my rush. I'll be right back. All right. Hopefully that helps. I forgot to hardline my internet. So hopefully that works better. All right. And we get a little clearer picture. Anyways, guys. All right. Let's get straight into it. I have been, well, probably me and the rest of the world, unable to stop looking at all this. Tried to enjoy my day off yesterday, but as usual, I just keep getting sucked in. And that's just how it goes. Oh, I'm even blurrier now. That's awesome. All right. Anyways, let's just get going. All right. Kash Patel, after all the stuff going on the other day, he dropped his own 2 cents in and says, the conspiracy theories just aren't true, never have been. Honor to serve the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he calls on me. What I tell you guys the other night, I just saw no way that Kash was going to leave. And so I was correct on that. He is going to stay, but it's also interesting the way he said it. The conspiracy theories just aren't true. This coming from Kash Patel. Now, we know a lot of conspiracies are true. We know that there's more out there that likely very true. So why say it like this? Why would Kash go out of his way to start a sentence like that? Well, I have a feeling that we're about to get a lot more. Now, Solomon said the other day that we're about to get bombshells in regards to Brennan and Comey and what was going on in the early Trump administration with Russia, Crossfire Hurricane. It's all going to come out. And that matters. And I think it's going to matter in regards to Trump and Epstein. And watch why 1 second. But first, Charlie Kirk, also one of the guys really out there calling for the stuff with Bondi, really just asking questions, public figure. He's running his whole thing this weekend with many MAGA influencers doing their speeches. They're all just going nuts. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Bannon, you name it, Poso, they're all there. And they're all slamming Bondi, slamming what's going on. And then Charlie out of nowhere posts this. I just got to see the emails myself. It's true. And Pam Bondi wasn't on the email chain about the details of the memo, which is very interesting because Todd Blanche shared this. I work closely with FBI Kash and Bongino on the joint FBI and DOJ memo regarding Epstein files. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusion stated in the memo. Suggestion by anyone there was any daylight between FBI and DOJ leadership on this memo's composition and release is patently false. So there we have it. Charlie confirming it. The fact is the FBI did sign off on it, which means Bongino and Kash were a part of this. This is not just a Bondi deal. So that's very interesting. We've got multiple confirmations coming out. And now the rumors about Bongino are still that he might step down. Well, I'll tell you what also came out with Bongino is that his biggest fight was not with Bondi, but he got in a fight with Susie Wiles, chief of staff of Trump. Susie Wiles is not somebody we talk enough about. She is one of the most important people in the Trump administration. You could say she's top 5. Easy. Susie Wiles is behind the scenes making everything work. She is one of the reasons Trump won so doggedly in this last election by running away so much. She is a genius when it comes to Trump. Trump loves her. He trusts her implicitly. She runs his White House very well. If you remember in the first term, Trump had multiple chief of staffs. He ran through them. Susie Wiles, not so. He made sure she's staying. You do not cross Susie Wiles in the Trump administration. You just do not do it. And I'd love to know why Bongino got upset at her, but I'll tell you what, if it's between Bongino and Susie Wiles, Trump will choose Susie Wiles 100 times out of 100. Bongino, I think, is a good man. I really do. I think Bongino is a genius when it comes to law enforcement and all this stuff. I do worry that maybe Bongino got in over his head. And I'm not saying this because of Epstein. If you guys remember the interview with Bongino about 3 months ago on Fox News, he was miserable. He was talking about being in the office, staring at walls all day, being sad, missing his wife. He was already having a hard time. He'd only been in the job a month at the time. Government work in an office may not be for Bongino. And the Epstein stuff, even though he signed off on it, the pressure from MAGA may be getting to him because he's already miserable. I don't know about you guys, but if you're already miserable and something like this, the pressure comes, it can set you off. Dan, I'm not saying he's a problem. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if he resigns, it's not about Epstein. And that's something that MAGA doesn't want to hear. MAGA wants to believe that Bongino is going to resign because he disagrees with the Epstein files. But that, my friends, I'm sorry, it's not true. Now, what we don't know is why they all agreed for this. There's only 3 options. It's A, they're telling the truth. And nobody wants to admit that's a possibility, but it is. B, it's a cover-up. They don't want what's in there to come out. And they saw it. They don't want it to come out. They're afraid. They're protecting people. That's B. That's what all the negative people believe. All the people who do not trust our government, even though they voted for Trump, they still just won't trust him over this. That's possibility. And they just refuse to believe that because they wanted something, there could be any good reason for it not coming out right now. And so that's the other possibility, the cover up. And number 3 is that they're saving it for when it matters most. It might be in a lawsuit. It might be being used on our side to get stuff done behind the scenes. Those are the 3 options we face. And the thing we all want it to be is they're using it. That's what we're all hoping for. That more will come out later. They're using it behind the scenes. The thing we don't want it to be is the cover-up. And the most disappointing of all 3 would be, they're telling the truth. Because nobody wants to face the fact that it might actually be true. The files are gone. And what could have been incriminating is no longer there. That's what nobody wants to face on. And I'll tell you, I got a lot of stuff to go through. And by the end of this, I'll tell you where I think we're actually at. But I'll say this, that the one thing I don't think makes any sense at all is that if they're covering up for themselves. I just don't see that. And the reason is Obama, Clinton, Bush, Epstein operated under all 3 of those presidents. Guess what? Not one of them ever issued a peep about Epstein. Not one peep. They didn't go after him. They didn't mention that this stuff could be going on. They all allowed it to happen. And Clinton, most especially, he's the one we know for sure is in the files. He even had Epstein at the White House with Ghislaine Maxwell. So we know for certain he's there. The reason I don't believe there's any way Trump's covering up, because if he was, there's no reason he ever would have brought it up in the first place. I've said this 100 times. I've covered it. We have the receipts on why it makes no sense that Trump would be in this. So, but it still could be they're covering up for something else. Is it Israel? Is it people that worked with them and they just don't want to expose it? Is it people that, if exposed, to be so dangerous, it would make things much tougher? I don't know. But we have to keep all of these ideas opened. Let's keep going. So we get to this. Yesterday, this happens, and this is a big effing deal. Okay. Trump launches this massive Truth Social post. And many people now have been spending the last day and a half just going through this with a fine-tooth comb. It has upset a bunch of people, and it's made the rest of us go, interesting. What's really going on here? Well, let's read it first. Trump says, "What's going on with my boys, and in some cases gals? They're all going," it's funny, that's what he's calling like MAGA. My boys, my gals. "They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job." Right there, Trump is saying Bondi's not going nowhere. So nice try, MAGA. Very interesting. That's the number one thing that the MAGA influencers were calling for, is get rid of it. He just dropped a nuke on them, that first sentence. "We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening." This is him being the leader of the movement saying, chill out, guys. You don't understand. You're going too far. "We have a perfect administration. In other words, I like everybody. The talk of the world and selfish people are trying to hurt it." Interesting. Somebody today said selfish people, they were mad that he's calling all people selfish. He's not. He's saying the administration, the talk of the world, everybody's talking about it, but the selfish people are trying to hurt it. He's clearly differentiating. All over a guy who never dies, Epstein. Very interesting. Never dies. Obviously, that can mean a lot of things, but never dies is a very interesting choice of words. He could have said never goes away, who is always on our minds, but he said never dies. Now, he could just be a play on words, or he could be giving us a clue. Is Epstein actually out there acting as an informant in witness protection? Who knows? For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity? And here's where it gets really interesting. To files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who con the world with Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more. Folks, this is a bombshell, this right here. Because what Trump just said is that the only files they have on Epstein, and I'm guessing what he means here is the people involved. He's saying that all they have are files created by intelligence agencies who worked under these administrations. That is a bombshell, folks. He's saying the same people who did Russia, the FBI, those intelligence agencies who all came out and said the laptop from hell isn't real, it's from Russia. He's saying that these people, going back to Obama, are the ones who put all the onus on this. And that's frankly a massive statement, guys. We've never heard this before. But did Trump just tell us that everything we're hoping for is not really there anymore, and the only thing left is fake stuff? That's a wild statement. Says they created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier they used on me. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. My so-called friends, those are the influencers. This is such a crazy statement, guys. He's equating the Epstein file. Now, Trump said he'd release them. Now, remember, everybody's like, he campaigned on it. He was going out. No, he wasn't. The only time we really have him saying he'd do it is Lex Friedman asked him, would you release the Epstein files? He's like, yeah, sure. Trump wasn't going around saying, I'm going to release the Epstein files. It's one of my promises. He promised it because he was asked about it and he said, yes. Okay. So it's not untrue, but this was not what everybody's making it out to be, like this massive campaign promise of his, although we all want it and we still want it. But Kash Patel was saying a lot more on it. Bondi, obviously, when she said she had it, that's all true. Okay, that's not exaggerated. Bondi done it. She screwed up bad. Okay, but the interesting thing is now that they're all in there and they're seeing what's really there, the tone shifted a lot. They created, and they, why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? He's talking about the Biden men, because they caught Epstein in 2019. He died soon after. And then Biden came in early 2021. So over 4 years, we didn't hear a peep about Epstein. And that is always the biggest difference I come to. Trump said he'd release him. Kash was talking about him. Bongino was talking about him. MAGA was talking about it. And like Trump, I said, when he was asked about it, he doesn't run away from it. But the Biden administration, not one peep. The left, not one peep. That tells you a lot right there. If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? Exactly. They haven't even given up on me and my so-called, sorry, I jumped the gun here. They haven't even given up on the Kennedy or MLK Jr. files. No matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. Boom. He basically right there, he's saying, if you voted for me and we did all this stuff and we're doing everything, all these things you asked for, and you're still not happy with MAGA just because this isn't turning out the way you wanted it, there's a problem. And I agree with them. I do. Even though this is something I really want. I really want to know those files. I really, really want them. I really do. But he's right. If we think we're not going to vote in the midterms over this when he's doing everything else, then that's stupid. That's stupid. If we're thinking that this election doesn't matter because of the Epstein files, that's retarded. I'm sorry. It just is. This is why MAGA is not ready for the truth. And not all of MAGA, but the influencer class, they're a real problem. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other admin in over 100 years. We have much more to do. We're saving our country, making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding, which is true. Mamdani is becoming the face of the left. He's a communist, which means he'll get destroyed in a general election and will drag the Democrats down. And they're already at their lowest they've ever been. So he's absolutely right. Kash, Patel, and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud. There it is. Number one, they're going to secure our elections. Political corruption. Number two, Brennan, Comey, go back, weed out the deep state. Act Blue, elections. The rigged and stolen election 2020, arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. Again, he's backing her up. 22 election, rigged and stolen. They tried to do the same thing in 2024. How interesting on that, by the way. They tried to do the same thing in 2024, and they failed miserably. Oh, man. How big of a landslide is 2028 going to be? That's what she's looking into, AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country is dead. Now it's the hottest country in the world. Let it keep that way and not waste time and energy on Epstein, something nobody cares about. He knows that's not true. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, there's a lot here, and it can sound to a lot of people that he's trying to deflect the matter. That's not what I read at all, because he knows this isn't true, that nobody cares about it. That's not what I say at all. But what I do think this is, if you really read it, it's reframing the entire thing. And honestly, it's a brilliant post. A lot of people are giving him crap over this. I don't think so. Not when you actually take the time to look and read it. Everybody who's like, Trump is just making it worse, that's because they're only reading this last line. They're only reading this last line. Guys, what he just told us is that all these investigations, Brennan, Comey, that they're doing right now, the political corruption, he just told us that the Epstein deal is going to be tied up in that. Do you understand that? That's a huge deal. It means, and we've already gotten confirmation on this 2 days ago, I covered it, that there's still investigations open into all the Epstein stuff. We've already gotten that confirmed by the FOIA request from Tom Fitton. So what Trump just did is he told us that the Epstein thing is actually not on its own. It's a part of all this. That is fascinating. And the problem is right now, MAGA is not being nuanced about this. We're losing our heads. And the influencers, I really believe, not all of them, but you can tell who's who by how they're talking about this. I think a lot of them are being revealed to actually be paid opposition, because the way to do this, to really hurt Trump, is to do it from inside. And he's trying to turn his own people against him. That, my friends, is a crazy thought, but I think that's one of the things that's being revealed right now. Like John Solomon said, we're about to get some bombshells. I truly think this Epstein is all going to be tied up together with this other stuff. And that's what matters most. It matters more than just getting a client list, because that is where real change is going to be. Do you guys think about it this way? All of Epstein's crimes go back almost 20 years. When he got busted in 2019, he was not operating, at least barely. All the people we want to get, that all happened in the 90s and early 2000s. We're talking about stuff 20 years ago. That puts a lot into context. Obviously, these people, we need to get them. I don't disagree with that. But from a legal standpoint, the time really makes things difficult. And it makes a lot more sense why this is being handled the way it is. Alan Gallahue with a $50 donation. Thank you, Alan. That is massive. I greatly appreciate it, sir. He says the Epstein files, restructured or rewritten, can't be used for indictments, ? 4+ years to scrub, sanitize origin of information, videos, and documentation. If it was a BlackBerry, it would have been smashed with a hammer. Excellent point, Alan. That is exactly what Hillary did. She smashed her BlackBerries with a hammer and deleted 30,000 plus emails. The left, Biden, Obama, the deep state, they are excellent at covering their tracks when they have time to do it. And as much as we wish everything was still out there, it's just not always a reality. Now, look at this. This account has been posting some crazy receipts the last couple days. He says this was parked in front of the DOJ after Trump won the election, before he took control of the government back. This is where they put the Epstein files per the order of Merrick-Garland. And we have no guarantee that the Epstein files were in there. But would it make sense that this right here, they're parking trucks in front of this right after the election? Well, you better believe they're getting rid of stuff. So however it looks, obviously I can't guarantee you the Epstein files are in there, but there's something in there that you don't want. And then we get here. When the government makes a deal with criminals, it's as strong as an NDA. Blame Joe Biden and Merrick-Garland for being supporters of child predators. They can't prosecute the people who did it. It's all in the sick little deal in the Virgin Islands. 2022, who was president? Joe Biden. U.S. Virgin Islands Attorney General settles sex trafficking case. This is the Epstein stuff. Merrick-Garland is the problem. He made a deal Kash. He must be in a Kash deal for the child molesters to walk. $105 million. Read it. Epstein molesters got the get out of jail card long ago. This happened 2022. This says here, under the terms of the settlement, defendants will pay the government of the Virgin Islands $105 million in cash. Remember, his islands are around that area. From the sale of Little St. James, island on which Epstein resided. Attorney General brought civil enforcement claims against the Epstein estate under the Virgin Islands Criminally Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, the territory's RICO analog. CISO and the Virgin Islands Uniform Prevention of Remedies for Human Trafficking Act's prohibitions of sex trafficking and sexual servitude are among the strongest in the U.S., and he paid him off. This is not something I'd seen before. Here is who did it from the DOJ, signed off on it, 2023. January is when she resigned, but she made the deal with the predators. This is all Biden's DOJ. And just to summarize it, Biden and Garland made a deal with the child predators on Epstein Island, and somehow that's Trump's fault, he says. Here's the actual file so you guys can see it. Virgin Islands Department of Justice. This is their official site. Read the cases file. They get immunity for the child predator operation in the Virgin Islands where 99% of the crimes occurred. Now ask yourself why Joe Biden would allow it. It's all about Clinton. Well, Clinton and others. But that's interesting, and I hadn't seen that before. Guys, this is a big deal because if this was all settled and they've been granted immunity, it tied Trump in their hands. Because also, if it's basically an NDA, it also means you can't post these files out there and have their names. Not legally, you cannot do it. Now, there might be a way to undo this through a legal process, but that'll take time. Nobody's talking about this. Why aren't the influencers talking about this? That's what I want to know. Why does somebody like me have to dig this up? I'm a guy with 6 kids who does this in my spare time. Why aren't the guys who do this full time talking about this? This is infuriating to me. It is so infuriating to me that nobody's talking about this because this is a big freaking deal. This means that in many ways, the Trump administration's hands are tied, even if they had the legit list, if they had the legit files. I just don't understand. Unless the only thing that makes sense, because this is not hard to find, the only thing that makes sense is that they are purposely avoiding this. And the only thing that does is hurt the Trump administration. That's infuriating. We are not getting the whole story. We're not. And the Trump administration, they seem to be the ones actually telling us more of the truth. I'm not saying they're telling us the whole truth, not by any means. Please don't twist my words there. There's a lot they're holding back. But this tells us they have reasons to hold it back. Legal reasons. Legal reasons. And as far as I can tell, because of this, is that the only thing the Trump administration is guilty of right now is bad messaging. That's a big deal. It drives me nuts that nobody's talking about this. I mean, this should be all over Twitter or all over X. It should be in all the shows. This is huge. Nobody talked about this when it happened. It's almost like they set Trump up to get in trouble over this. Almost like it's a hit. I'm not saying it is, but it almost is. That's the only thing that really makes sense. All right, let's keep going. There's just more. We got to frame more. We need more information. We have to look at everything to make sense of all this. Let's talk about Bondi. For those claiming Bondi is protecting pedos, I compiled a list before she was selected as AG. Over the years, her office have worked closely with Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd over the years and has a stellar track record for human trafficking. March 24, Operation March Madness, illegal alien human trafficking network involving U.S. government. September 23, Florida teacher, Disney employees among 219 arrested in human trafficking operation. June 23, Operation Maze Monsters, horrific child porn bust. June 23, 3-generation drug sting, enough fentanyl to kill 100,000 people. Pam Bondi involved in all these. February 23, hundreds arrested in large Polk County human trafficking sting. USF player among 213 arrested. September 22, child sexting involving Disney employees. 22 again, Operations Fall Hall, human trafficking. August 22, huge drug trafficking. 22, it goes on and on. I'm not going to read all of them. But look at this, guys. Bondi has been getting child traffickers as far back as 2014. Why would she stop now? Again, when you don't have the information, you have to put 2 and 2 together and you have to say, what do I know about this person? It's very important. Bondi, her record tells us she would never cover up for pedos. That's what her record tells us. And add to all that the fact that so far this year, they have captured almost 1,000 human traffickers and pedophiles. The DOJ and the FBI combined, almost 1,000. You know how many kids that's freed? Trump said we've recovered 10,000 kids. Think of all the other kids that have been set free or justice is being done for them for their victimization. Thousands. This matters. And honestly, as it's not sexy, it's not fun, but it matters more than Epstein right now because this is happening now. We got to keep talking about this. We got to keep our perspective. We really do. The influencers are starting to get called out by some of the people who are noticing. This one, David Chapman, says, BS, this whole thing is made up by scandal, by influencers who can't afford a gap in their audience. And if you know how this game works, you know winning doesn't sell as much as panic and anger. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to remind you guys who we actually know is very likely in the Epstein files. Ryan Dawson has compiled this after combing through all of the court cases involving Epstein over the years. All the accusations, all the trips to the island on the plane. And I've shared this in a show before, but I'll show you again. Lots of people you recognize on here, but also lots of people others think are in here, but they're not. And one thing you don't see in here, friends, is you don't see a lot of congressmen, but you do see Israel leader Ehud Barak, Larry Summers, Henry Kissinger, Conrad Black, all well-known people, Senator George Mitchell, Governor Bill Richards, Jamie Dimon, Robert Kraft, billionaires, Jean-Luc Brunel, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Mark Rich, Kevin Spacey, Bill Gates, Weinstein, well-known names, Tony Blair, Shimon Peres, Larry Page, billionaire, Reid Hoffman, creator of LinkedIn. Elon called him out. You don't see Trump on this list. And Ryan's not a Trump fan. He thinks Trump's controlled by Israel, which I disagree with him on. But Ryan's done the work. Obviously, this probably wasn't everybody who'd be on there, and maybe he's wrong about a couple. But when you do the work and you put it all together, you can see we already know a lot. The question is, how is Dershowitz? He's out there fighting it off. Mark Rich, the lawyer for the Democrats, big one. My point is that if this came out, and if this is the real list or very close to it, it's not going to get rid of Congress the way a lot of people think it will. And so it's important that if that ever comes out, that list, temper your expectations, because who's on there might not be who you think. And it might not be people who much can be done since it's been so long. There is an expiration on these things. And I don't know legally how that works when it's this kind of crime, but it's very interesting. US One says, why the Bongino response? I covered that at the beginning, US One. Bongino signed off on it. I think the pressure, though, is cracking him. I don't think it has to do with the list itself or anything, because he did sign off on it. And we've had multiple confirmation of that now. Getting back to the child trafficking, Stephen Miller, what Biden and the Democrats did is unforgivable. Here's a video of a girl trafficked to the States over Biden's border, held in warehouses for days on end with little to no food. This is these poor kids, man. 300,000. And they want to call Trump the human trafficker. It's the pedo. It's a deflection. By the way, Trump is cleaning this up now. Now. And as much as I want the Epstein files, as much as you want the Epstein files, as much as we rightfully do want those, as much as we rightfully want justice for those men and women who created and helped assist these crimes years ago, we want that and we deserve it. And the kids, the people who've been victimized deserve it 100%. But this is happening now. This matters now. And that, my friends, does take precedent. And why are we deflecting from that? I just don't understand. The more I think about this, the less I'm pissed off at the Trump administration, the more I'm pissed off at the MAGA influencers who are driving the Trump administration into the ground over something that doesn't matter as much as what's happening now. It matters. Please do not twist my words. It matters. But right now, people are making this the biggest thing in the world, and it's not. What's happening now is, I want justice for somebody who was victimized 20 years ago, but I want those who are being victimized now for it to stop now. That's what matters most. And that's what they're actually doing. And they should be celebrated for that instead of getting reamed over this Epstein stuff. Criticize them, be upset, want it. All that's well and good, folks. It completely is. It's justified. I'm not telling you don't be upset. Be upset. But don't lose the forest for the trees. You don't get focused so much on one thing, you're not recognizing all the good that the Trump administration is doing. Secretary Kristi Noem put this up today. I was just given an update on Thursday's operation of the marijuana facility in California. By the way, a lot of people are saying that it's not marijuana, it's not high enough. Well, now it's confirmed, at least by our government. It was a marijuana facility. DHS government law enforcement rescued 14 children from potential forced labor, exploitation, and trafficking. They arrested 319 illegal aliens. 14 children saved, guys, this week. That's amazing. That's amazing. We need that stuff, guys. We should be celebrating that while also calling for the Epstein stuff, but putting the Epstein stuff in its place. And the problem is we're all out of whack right now. We're all out of whack, especially if it is true that the Biden administration screwed it all up for Trump. That's what we need to get down to. Is that the truth? And based on what we've seen documented, there's a good reason to think it's true. Here's the people calling for Bondi's head and the Trump stuff too, saying MAGA's done. Same people who wanted DeSantis, didn't believe the elections were stolen. Fact check, true. They've been Republicans less than a decade, screamed Trump would start World War III with boots on the ground in Iran. How many of those people should just be eating crow right now, and they've all deflected? They won't admit it. Dave Smith, I'm looking at you, you a-hole. I cannot believe how many people like him are getting away with being so wrong on this, and they're just skirting free. On to the next outrage. Let's lie about Trump again. Let's make this a bigger deal than it needs to be again. You know who's always proven wrong? These people, not Trump. They told you tariffs would destroy the economy with hyperinflation. Guess what? Inflation's lower than it's been in 5 years, and we just got our first budget surplus in 20 for July or for June. Surplus. Thank you, tariffs. They swore Trump was building a surveillance state. None of this is going to happen. None of this is going to happen. Praying Medic says, you're confusing the end of child sex trafficking with the punishment of those who perpetrated in the past, just like I was just saying. Two different issues. While it's unlikely past perpetrators will see justice, unfortunately, he might be right here, but we can hope. There's little reason to believe high-level sex trafficking is continuing today as it had in the past. That matters. Most of the perps either dead or in jail. Trump's FBI and DOJ have shut down most of the trafficking operations. 100%. Why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we talking about that? Sather, I think some people tend to forget if Trump wanted to cover up the Epstein network, he never would have had Epstein or Ghislaine arrested in the first place, and Jean-Luc Brunel. 3 major traffickers running this stuff with elites. He caught them all. They never even talked about him before. And now suddenly Trump's one of them? BS. Use your brains, folks. Use your brains. It's also proof Trump's not covering for him. Come on. This is not hard, guys. It's not hard. We're not getting what we want. I get it. But why are we buying a bunch of babies? We're like the 5-year-old who, like, the whole world's good. They have everything for them. They get to play every day. They get to eat all the food they want. They go to bed. They have the best lives ever. And yet when that one thing goes wrong, their whole world falls apart. That's MAGA right now. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And if you're not voting in the midterms because of this, you're a moron. I'm just sorry. I'm going to call you out. I'm sorry. It's true. Everybody, like Trump is doing so much. If you're like, oh, the Epstein stuff ruins it for me. Okay, your border is closed. Your taxes are lower. Trafficking now is being ended across the nation. Wokeness is dying. DEI is dying. The government's getting smaller. Revenue's coming in. Wars are ending. No, I'm not going to vote in the midterms because of Epstein. Okay, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. I'll watch people drop off right now because it's true. If Epstein matters that much to you that you don't care about everything else, you're an idiot. You just are. He dismantled Nexium, raided Peter Nygaard. Says, I imagine there's more going on behind the scenes than we know and more arrests will come in due time. There it is. Sather, like myself, other than the Bondi mismanagement, which I do agree, she mismanaged her communication. Unpopular opinion, I think he's handling it like a boss. Most wouldn't know Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell's names without him. That network has been dismantled. We'll learn more about it in due time. Imagine if she won in 2016, Epstein's Island would still be poppin'. Why aren't we talking about this? The MAGA influencers are ruining it for MAGA because the people are sheep. They are. They love Trump. They loved what he did when it first came in. They loved Kash, Bongino, Bondi. When they all first came in, they were excited. They were excited about all the stuff going on. And then the influencers came in. The Epstein stuff was a big deal. But the influencers could have come in, told us the truth, framed it right, told us we should still go after this, but also look what Trump's doing. But instead, they are making it the end all be all. And because they're doing that, all the sheeple, and I'm sorry, God bless it. I love MAGA. It's the greatest movement of my life. I'm so happy to be a part of it. But the sheeple are listening to the influencers and letting them corrupt their mind. They're letting them think that if Epstein isn't done, it's nothing else matters. That is the most insane, stupid take you could possibly have if you want to save our country. But you know what? Hey, play the deep state game. Join the deep state. You're doing exactly what they want you to do. You're doing exactly what the Democrats want you to do. You don't vote in the midterms over this. You start bashing on Trump because of this, even when he's doing everything else you wanted him to do, then you are as good as one of them. You're showing that you are incapable of thinking for yourself. You're in the mind control. That's what you're showing. And it's all the influencers are at fault here in a big way, because they are choosing to do this. But all the free thinkers I see, the ones who don't play the game, the ones who aren't getting paid for being conservative, the ones who have very small platforms, who are completely independent, they are all telling the straight story. They're all doing it. But Alex Jones, he's got to be out there. I got to get my audience mad, man. If it's not World War III, it's Epstein. If it's not World War III, it's Epstein. I got to tell you, Trump, he, I think Trump's a good guy. I think but I just think he's got so much stuff. I'm going to play both sides because I always play both sides because I can't completely go all in on somebody. But I also, I gotta show that I'm against everybody, because that's the only way I can be Alex Jones, because I got to be Alex Jones. I got to be independent. I gotta call it like it is, even if I'm actually not helping the cause at all. Even if I'm not actually telling the truth. Even if I'm having Nick Fuentes come on, that little moron. I don't care that he's anti-Semitic. I don't care that he's a white supremacist. I don't care that he's closet homosexual who goes and sucks off leftist influencers, dudes. I don't care about any of that. He gets the views. He gets the views. Alex is one of the most disappointing in the last few weeks. He is. And I'm going to keep calling him out for it. It's always the end of the world with Alex. It always is the end of the world with Alex. Patrick Byrne puts it in good perspective, and a lot of you respect Patrick Byrne. So let's listen to what Patrick has to say. Remember, there's nobody who's fought the deep state more than Patrick Byrne, not as a civilian. No one. Patrick Byrne writes, consider the possibility, folks, that if we lose Bondi, the bad guys can stall justice for the next 6 months as we wrangle over a successor and the confirmation process. Exactly. If we force Bondi out and we're wrong, Trump knows. If we're wrong about Bondi, but we just are so outraged at the influencers, and then we don't have a DOJ ahead of the DOJ for a while. Oh, everybody's like, yeah, recess appoint Gates. Fine, that's all well and good. 120 days and he's gone. Who's Trump going to get through Congress? Remember, he had his full political capital at the beginning. He barely got Bondi through. Do you really think he's going to be able to get a strong attorney general through now that his political capital isn't as strong as right after the election? Good luck with that. But nobody thinks about that, do they? They love to live in the clouds. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's reality, guys. We just want what we want. And we're going to cry if we don't get it. Okay, well, that's what my 5-year-old does. Congratulations. Let's look at the promises Trump's already holding up, okay? Here's his list. Agenda 47, 20 promises to the American people. By the way, Epstein's not on this. It wasn't one of his main promises. It was a side comment made to Lex Friedman. He said it. He said it, and we're going to hold him to it. Do not get me wrong on that. But 20 promises, priorities. Let's see how he's doing. Seal the border, stop the migrant invasion. Check. Carry out largest deportation operation in human history. Getting there. One big beautiful bill will help. End inflation, make America affordable again. Very close. Make America dominant energy producer in the world by far. We're going to get there with the deregulation. Stop outsourcing, turn U.S. into a manufacturing superpower. On our way. Tax cuts for workers, no tax on tips. Accomplished. Defend our Constitution, Bill of Rights, fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, right to keep and bear arms. Doing well. Prevent World War III. We're getting close. Already stopped war in the Middle East. Ukraine and Russia will happen. Just wait. He'll do it. Get the Iron Dome going. Well, that's in the beautiful bill. End weaponization of government against the people. Check. Stop migrant crime epidemic. Check. Demolish foreign drug cartels. Getting there. Crush gang violence, lock up violent offenders. Getting there. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, beautiful again. Working on it. Strengthen and modernize our military. Just passed on the budget. Keep U.S. dollars world's reserve currency. Who's going to not do that with Trump in charge? Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts. That depends on what you consider a cut, but there are actually no cuts. But we did slow the growth. That's the truth. And nobody who is working or isn't working legally is still going to qualify. Cancel EV mandate. Done. Cut federal funding for school pushing critical race theory. Working on that. Keep men out of women's sports. Amen. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and keep our college campuses safe. He's doing that. Secure elections. Now this is a big one. Haven't gotten there yet, but he says it's a big priority. Unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. He's got 3.5 years to do that. Listen, this is huge, guys. I mean, 20 promises. What American president in your lifetime could put a list out like this from the beginning and you could check it just 6 months and say, wow, a lot of that's done and everything else looks like it's going to happen? I can't think of one. It just doesn't happen. Medic says this about the midterms. Next November, gas will be $2 cheaper than it was in 2024. Food prices lower, interest rates near zero, unemployment non-existent, revenue from tariffs paying down debt, economy humming, voters will have forgotten Epstein. I agree. 17 months away. If Trump keeps doing what he's doing now, MAGA's going to throw its little temper tantrum right now. Influencers are going to ride Epstein until it dies off. And then by the midterms, if Trump's still doing all this, if he gets successes in going after the Brennan and Comey's, cleaning up elections, doing everything that MAGA is just so hot about, this will go away. But that's not what they're telling us. Everybody's acting like the midterms are next month. 17 months in politics is an eternity, guys. It's an absolute eternity. So stop panicking. Stop panicking. There's so much more here than we think is going on. So much more. And I'm telling you, I mean, listen, I've been covering this entire thing this whole week. It's been Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. If you have watched all my shows, you'll have a lot of answers by now. And even if for the things we don't have answers for, you should be able to think a lot clearer. I don't know why other people in their shows, well, not all of them, but many of them are not doing their job. The entire job of someone who has an audience is to break stuff down, tell them the truth, give them the whole context. That's their job. But they don't want to do that. They want to keep the money pouring in. They want to keep the attention up. And what I'm seeing more and more, and the influencer stuff I've always told you guys about, it's bad. It's bad, but it's every time something like this comes up, I just realize it's worse than I thought. Same MAGA people who targeted Kushner in 2017 also targeted Vivek in 24, target Elon, now targeting Pam Bondi. Ask yourself why. It's a good question. Why are we continually tearing down everybody that's helping us in the moment? Elon, before his tantrum, did a lot of good for MAGA. A lot of good. Brought in people that want to have been here before, gave a lot of money to the Trump campaign, started Doge, which even if Doge never does anything else, guys, we accomplished getting rid of USAID, which getting rid of USAID accomplished turning off the funding for the Democrats, the NGOs, and much of the deep state globally. That is massive. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars now gone. Why do you think the Democrats all of a sudden have 1/4 the money on hand that the Republicans do? Why do you think they're panicked so much about all this? And yeah, some Republicans did too. But Elon accomplished that. He did. He did good before he freaked out over the EV credits. So even in his selfishness, he accomplished some good. Vivek was awesome for MAGA last year. Kushner, in the first term, accomplished the Abraham Accords. That was almost all his baby that Trump commissioned him to do. Wonderful stuff. And yet this is who we've always gone after. Why? Good, accomplished great things. Helped us a lot, accomplished great things. Why is this their new target? Ask yourself that. It is a good question. Maybe you have a different answer than I do, but I think the obvious answer is whoever is being very effective in the moment is who they're trying to take down. I really do think that. And listen, what it all comes down to for me at the end of the day is you got to ask yourself who you trust. And maybe you trust nobody, and that's okay. I get it. It's a miserable existence to live like that, but maybe that's what you feel. Okay? Maybe that's what you feel. And that's okay. That's your prerogative. Okay? But if you don't trust anybody, then you're also never going to be a part of anything. You're just going to be on the sidelines, crying about everything, playing Monday morning quarterback, but never being in the game. And that's fine if that's the life you want to choose. Basically, you'll be a libertarian. Sorry, it's true. If that's what you want to be, that's fine. And you find peace in your life doing that, that's fine. But you're not going to be a part of bringing America back. And honestly, we need everybody who wants to do it. If you want to be a part of something, guess what? You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have fights. You're going to have times where you don't get your way. But what matters most is, are we headed in the right direction? For me, I trust Donald Trump. 10 years ago, he came down and he went up against the Clinton operation, the Obama operation, the deep state, and he won. He took out what would have ended our country, which is Hillary Clinton. He started setting us back on track. He reminded us what it was to be American again. And then he had an election stolen from him. And he could have ran off in the distance and just said, I can't do it. It's too tough. They're too strong. They proved it. They win. COVID would have crushed a weaker man. But no, he came back. He came back after a devastating loss, quote unquote loss. He came back and he fought. And then they tried to take away all his money and he fought. And then they tried to take away all his freedom, put him in prison, and he fought. And then they tried to take away his life, and they came within this far of doing so, and he fought. And he kept fighting. And everything he's done, Wall Street, almost all politicians on both sides, and of course the intelligence agency and the media, all against him. And he keeps fighting. Trump is nothing like the rest of them. You'd have to be absolutely gone to think that. The proof is in the last 10 years. It doesn't take much to see it. So when I look at all this, I say, I trust that man. I don't always agree with him. I agree with him most of the time. I don't, but it's not 100%. Sometimes I don't get what I want 100%, but I trust him, and I trust he wants to get us there. I trust that he's dealing with way more than we can possibly imagine. I trust that he's under way more pressure than we can possibly imagine. I trust that he is getting stuff accomplished that no one else could. How many good people have we seen go up to Washington and just get destroyed? But I don't see that in Trump. So yeah, the Epstein stuff is it's very disappointing. But when it comes down to it for me, I say, who do I trust in all this? And I trust Trump. So if it's really not happening the way we want it to, there are reasons for that. And it's not a cover up. It's not. It might be they don't have the stuff. It might be they're using it for something else. I still don't know that answer. But to think we come this far with all they've done, to think it's a cover up, that's crazy thinking. That's weak thinking. That shows you haven't done your homework. It shows you haven't followed the line of logic. It shows you haven't followed the line of evidence and facts the last 10 years. It doesn't add up that would be why we're doing this. It just doesn't. But I get it, because everybody else did in the past, because you've been hurt by other administrations, because everybody else has lied to you. It's easy to think he is too. But that's not what I see. And I'm not going to ever see that unless the evidence comes out someday that is overwhelming. But until that, Trump's been right about everything, and I believe he will continue to be. And so we'll see how it plays out. But the truth MAGA is not ready for is the fact that whatever is going on with the Epstein stuff, the vast majority of what you're being taught to focus on is a lie. And a vast majority of the people we've been trusting to walk us through this are lying to us. And they're either doing it to sabotage Trump, or they're doing it just because they're selfish and they're doing it for their own enhancement. And that's the truth MAGA is not ready to deal with. But we're going to have to deal with it. At some point, we're going to have to ask ourselves, do we trust the people just sitting behind the mics, including myself, telling us what to think and not doing anything other than that? Other than getting people riled up? Do we trust those people, or do we trust the guy who's done the work and put his life and fortune on the line over and over again for us? For me, that's an easy call. It's an easy call. And for everybody else, you got to make that decision. So on that note, guys, I love you and I appreciate you. I've already gone over an hour, so I'm not going to go much into the chat today. I think we're just going to a lot of people just be fighting or whatever. This was a pretty riled up one. So, but I see you guys out there. Love you guys. Appreciate you all. Even when you disagree with me, I appreciate you. We can all agree in different ways, but I'll say this. I want the Epstein files released, whatever they have, I do. And I want the full story, even if the full story is that Biden destroyed them or hid them. I want that story. I do. And I hope we get it. And it will be a failure of Trump if we don't get there, but it won't make his administration a failure. And I think that is what's important. People are combining the two. People are starting to say, this is everything. And if you really think that, I think you seriously are missing something. I think you're way off. And I think if you want to give everything back to the group of people who would gladly destroy you and everything America stands for just because you want to throw a temper tantrum, that's your prerogative, but you're just doing exactly what they would want you to do. And I hope everybody thinks about that. All right. On that note, guys, God bless y'all. I hope and pray you guys have a great day. God bless you. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're new. I appreciate it. If you want to join and get members only lives and in the Discord, click the link in the description on Rumble and YouTube, or go to my pin post on X. You get a free month of Discord, and that's where you can support the channel. I definitely appreciate it. And kiddies, I see what you're saying right now, man. Listen, you're not the only one who thinks this, but I also think that a lot of you are just, you're letting yourself get ginned up. I guarantee you right now, if Bannon, if Poso, if Charlie Kirk, if all of them were out there, if Alex Jones was out there and they're all saying, chill guys, I think Trump might be right on this one, guys. It makes sense. If they were all saying that to you, you would chill out. Ask yourself how much you're influenced by them. Ask yourself that. Be honest. Be honest. If they let it go, I bet you would too. But maybe not. Maybe you're one of the few who wouldn't. But the vast majority of people would let it go if the influencers painted a better picture. And I'm not saying completely let it go, but I am saying it's time to have it in its proper context. And that's what most MAGA is not willing to do right now. So if you want to give up your country because you're mad that you're not getting files when everything else is trending in the right direction, if you want to sacrifice your country for that, that's your prerogative. I think that's insane, but maybe that's just me. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful time. Let's pray. We got to pray on our way out because obviously we need it. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Bless this amazing group of people. God bless Trump and all they're doing for America. And Father, I do pray we get disclosure. I pray we get justice everywhere justice is needed, including in all this Epstein and other craziness, Lord, deep state craziness. I do pray we get that. I pray you protect Trump and his team, give them wisdom and boldness in how to do all this. I pray you expose everybody who is a bad actor in all this, even if it ends up being Trump himself. I do. I ask that everything is exposed and brought to light. And Father, just bless all these people here. Help us all have wisdom moving forward in whatever we do and whatever we think. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Love you guys. Have a great Sunday, and I will see you all Monday night. Take care.